So one thing that was pointed out in a previous video by some of your viewers, and I totally kind of did not catch it, is this wheel arch. So I had, I think, 2 or 3 comments saying that we should scoot the back side of the wheel arch back and that to make it more symmetrical where it kind of matches. Now, laying in bed reading these comments, I'm kind of like, what do you mean? Like, we had all the clearance in the world on the back side. We did not need no more clearance on the back side. It was the front side that was hitting. But I think I see what you're talking about. So I think what y'all are seeing is center line and the top of the rim. Now, these arches are different on the front to the back, but they're not too far off. So I can kind of see it now. Now that you pointed it out, I see that we are talking from the edge of this rim right here to here, okay? So we can see this tread on this tire like this much versus if we flip that around, okay, we're way off. So now I think that's what y'all are talking about, is so that the curvature looks more symmetrical. And that's actually a really good catch on y'all's part, because I definitely didn't see that. I mean, I was literally, let's see here, just going up. You can see we didn't we didn't go like this with the wheel arches at all. All I did was basically cut them and go up with them. So that's from the factory how it was. But I think you might actually be right. I think that might be a pretty decent improvement, is to get the same amount of exposure on both sides. So kind of using a magnet and just roughly looking at this, I think that would be it. I see what y'all are talking about. I see that now. Of course, before we lock this in final, we'd want to probably go off the center of the center cap, maybe up to the curve on both sides and kind of get it close to symmetrical. I don't think we could get it perfect. I think that'd be hard because I don't think these are mirrored copies. They may be. Let's see. Let's see if they are mirrored. Well, would you look at that? They are close, not 100% the same, but they're close. They're very close. So I think they're close enough where when the time comes, I see that. Man, dude, I see that, y'all. I really see that now. Holy crap. All right, so another thing that I had pointed out to me is that the top of one was flatter than the other. Now, they look really close here. I know on camera, all of this paint and the difference in the cuts and everything changes it, but you could 100% be right. And I can kind of see what you're seeing. Not tremendously. I think that my curves might be close enough to do body work with, but I did purchase this to check. Now, this is what we should have had when we built this, but we'll see how good I am. I've been body working for a while, and I've kind of learned to 3-dimensional see stuff. But I'm not an expert. Definitely metalwork. I'm new to this. So this is called a contour gauge or contour guide or contour template or something, curve template. You can search eBay for this. They start around 100. If you dig a little deep, you can get them for like 35, 38 bucks to your door, and it's the same exact product. It's just companies, there's no brand on it. Like, there's no brand on this at all. There's a warning label, but there's no brand. They just rebrand them and just sell them for different prices. So always dig for the cheapest product. I do not search for quality. I got into this with somebody on Facebook this past week, actually, a couple people. I don't look for quality in a product. I look for cheapness in a product. That's just flat out what I do. They're all the same in this situation, and I think this will work amazing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start at our headlight, all right, and you just bend the metal, all right? So we're gonna go right here to the headlight, and then we're just gonna go straight back off the headlight where it touches the hood. And we're gonna hold the metal down, and then we're gonna lock these curves as we go around. Now, if you had 2 people, this would be a lot easier probably. But it actually lays on the panel extremely well. You have to kind of force it around the curvature. All right, so it's locked in. Let's see if we can get a little bit tighter on this radius right here. Definitely would help to have 2 hands. All right, so there you go. That is tight to the thing. Now we just transfer it to the other side. Let me move y'all around. I don't want to cut this. Normally I chop this stuff out because for looks, but I want to keep it rolling so that you know we haven't changed this. Okay, this is tight, it holds its shape just like that. We're going to go again off the headlight back to the hood. About to center the headlight right there. Look at that. Look at that. So there's no gap on this side. Let me show you. It's just the way the curve is. All right. Okay, so there's no gap on this side. It's sitting tight. The way it's angled on the other side makes it where we need to roll it kind of like this to get the same. So this one, that bubble over there is bigger, and we need to kill some of that bubble out of it. Next, let's check this. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to be able to check it because of that molding, I don't think. Let's see if we can just check some of it. I don't know. Again, I normally cut all of this, but moving the camera around, but I'm going to keep it in there just for realness. So I'm going to take them all loose. And I really don't know where to go. Okay, we're just gonna kind of guess. Let's lock this bottom one in. This would definitely be helpful if you had your wife out here. And if mine was home, she would 100% help me, but she's not home at the moment. All right, so all that's locked in. Okay, so it's got a little bit of play. Again, sorry about the roughness. I normally do not record like this if you're new. I'm just trying to keep this rolling accurate as possible. All right, so we have our curve basically like that. So let's take this thing and go to the other side. And the only reason why I can't go down the other way is because on the other side I don't have the trim taken off. Man, I hate not gonna be editing that out. All right, so we were approximately right here at this curve. Let's see here. It sucks that all this has already been cut up because it's a little different. Look at that. So the other side we were pushing down on, I think, because I can't get it in that. So that, I mean, dude, that's pretty good. Hopefully y'all can see that. Well, I'll hold that. Look at that. Straight up into the green. And again, we're kicked up on the hood. There's nothing I can do about that. I guess I could pick the hood up. Amazing. So I'm satisfied with that. I'm happy with that. I'm not worried at all about them looking different. Like I said, standing back here in person, looking at them, they all pretty much look the same. I know camera can be misleading a ton of times, especially if I'm recording on 0.5 versus 1. So like right now, I think we're recording on 0.5. And then sometimes, depending on where the camera's at, I will switch to 1.0. 2.0, or I think this new phone even has 5.0 if it's a long shot. When we change them camera settings, zoom on the camera, it does change the way stuff looks. So the 0.5 filming will make it look more fisheye and everything rounded. And when we switch over to the 1.0, everything will get more in perspective, actually, like it's supposed to be. It's definitely something that if you don't have, I think it's like 40 bucks. You could pick one of these up yourself. All right, so what are we going to work on this weekend? Well, I'm not 100% sure. We need to put the other lower in. That's not going to take too long. Once we do that, again, we're going to hold off on the wheel arch, until the steering gets in here. I think we'll move forward with the headlights because that's all we have left in this is fender arches, lower pieces, headlights, grills done, and then we move forward. We do need to drill the holes for this. I was studying this some this week. I did compare before pictures. A lot of times I work in bed at night during the week on this car, the behind the scenes stuff that you don't see. So I was comparing before and after because these gaps bothered me right here. How when you look back, these are closer spaced than all this stuff down here, and this is large apart. I'll go ahead and drop a picture right here comparing, and if you notice, I'll put a red line down the center of the grill, and one side is going to be longer than the other side. The longer side is the extended side of the grill, but the other side is how it was before we cut it. And if you notice in the center section where we were talking about off of the turn lights, the gaps are also there. So these gaps right here are bigger in this center part than they are in the other areas. I'm not sure why Plymouth designed it like that, if it was for airflow or what the reason was, but I do know that I basically marked something right here before. Marked these straight through the lines. I thought that I had marked this line off the center of the lines in the grill right here, but I could be wrong. We need to try to hold this bar up here and see what we got. This may be a little too high, and if so, then we might have messed up pretty bad and need to either move this grill down, which would make this top even worse if we come down. So I don't understand how that could happen. Or we might need to change something. So we do need to check the bar alignment off of this light. All right, so sticking this in there, and the light, I mean, we're level across, so I don't understand this gap at all. I don't know if they made some of these bars different sizes. It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, they look pretty much the same size. I don't understand why they made the gaps bigger in the center, but as you can see if we can get the camera angle right here. Again, camera messes stuff up. We are straight across off of my template, and we're in the light, and also our hole is right there in the metal, like our bolts right there. They're gonna go dead in that grill just like they're supposed to. So no issues at all there. I second guessed myself all week, laying in bed at night, looking at pictures, staring at pictures, but I trusted my measurements and my layout beforehand, and I did not screw up that grill. All right, so we need to tackle these headlights. Is going to be our next thing. Do we keep these and just put visors on them and just send it and be done with this whole ordeal? Or do we modify them kind of like I want to do and change them out? So these are 7-inch lights, and as you can see, they look a little small in my opinion. There's a lot of real estate on this fender going on for 7. Really want to go up to a 9-inch headlight. Now, I have researched 9-inch headlights tremendously. I also looked into Frenching or flush mounting the 7s. It's just been done so many times that it doesn't interest me a ton. I did buy visors for the 7s because I wanted the visors. We're also doing a really freaking cool visor, handmade out of carbon fiber for the top of the car coming in the future. So make sure you turn on notifications and subscribe because you don't want to miss this stuff. So I purchased the 7-inch visors for this, and we can get aftermarket 7-inch lights. We won't be running the factory stuff. We'll be running high bright LED modern stuff, but we can either stay 7s or go 9s. 9s get a little more tricky. They make no kit to flush a 9. It had to be custom. So I picked up from a buddy. Shout out to my buddy Spencer. His dad, actually, him and his dad gave me these. These are off of, I think, a Model A. I did not break them. He gave them to me because one was broke. Okay, so basically these are 9-inch headlights. They have, you know, the trim ring there, and then the headlight, and you can get lenses for them. This is the one down inside here that's broke. I think they picked these up at a swap meet or something. And then we have one good glass lens right here that is not broke. Now, Mike said that these are worth a lot of money, but I actually looked on eBay, and they're only I think 30-40 bucks or so. They're not super expensive. So I can get replacement glass lenses or other glass lenses, I guess, off of eBay. So I thought about cutting these up and recessing them in and basically using the metal bucket, and then we can change out the socket for a modern LED headlight. Okay, that's one of our options. This is roughly what a 9-inch would look like compared to the 7. So there's a 7, and here's a 9. Okay, so the 9 fills us out a whole lot better. I mean, we're still not up, you know, like that. We could move it up, but I don't want to get too carried away. I kind of want to stay within this area right here, off, because there is a curve right here in the byline, and just kind of go at a 45, up and at a 45. So I don't really want to go in closer to the grill, and then, you know, we could flare metal back into it. We don't want to come down like this because, again, we've got too much bubble up here. There's too much going on. We need these lights more up towards the top. I guess we could completely move them way up, but then we start fabricating a lot of metal back into that. So that's what we are up against, is deciding what do we do with these headlights. Now, modern Jeeps, here's a little fun fact. Modern Jeeps, I think like 2020s and up, 21s, 22s, they use basically a 9-inch headlight. Supposed to be from outer to outer if you research it. However, on the modern Jeeps, they only expose 7. It don't make sense. So it's from here to here, all right? Now, you can't get your hands on a set of newer Jeep headlights for cheap for mock-up at all. Like, it just does not happen. So even a factory one out of a wrecked vehicle is $80 to $100 on eBay for a used factory one. Again, shout out to Buddy Spencer. He pulled through on both of these headlight gigs. He was out of town in Virginia working, and somebody had posted a set of these for sale. I think it was like $20, $40. I think it was 20. I think I gave Spencer 40 for his time. So I told him, I said, yeah, he knew what I was up to. I said, dude, snag them. Now, I don't like the way these look, okay, these projectors at all. But if we can build them with this, then we can order any modern Jeep headlight that we want as far as looks. And we can use these for just fabbing and then put them up for sale when we're done. All right, so I've reached a point where flat out I'm bogged down. I think a lot of people confuse this with burnt out. I'm not really burnt out. I haven't worked on this during the week. I only work on it on the weekends. It's been a real slow progress, even though y'all think that it's been quick. But what it is I need to finish something. You need to understand who you are, and that is very important with your project. Just like in a marriage or with your spouse, you need to understand who you are so that your spouse, y'all can fit. You need to understand who you are so that your project will fit. For me, it's very clear. I'm a painter and a body guy. I need to see something shiny. I am burnt out on the metal. I'm burnt out on the welding. I'm over it. I've just reached, I feel like that moment that I'm over it. We've got to check some stuff off the checklist. We need to see primer. We need to see body filler. If you remember when we took this roof off the back, we put body filler on and it felt so good. And it looks so good to walk out of that kitchen door and to see body filler, okay? It makes it where I feel like I can breathe, okay? The metal work in that area is over. It's done. You got body filler over it. You're good. The paint is so easy that whenever I can finally get to the body filler and primer stage, I feel like I can breathe again. So with this front end, I've been chasing these headlights. I'm going to show you something really cool here in a moment with them, but I think I'm going to tap out on the headlights. I wanted to do the 9-inch headlights in this thing and put bigger headlights in it, but I can't quite figure out a way that's going to work. I can always go pull this front end off at a later date if I decide to and change up to the 9-inch. Paint is extremely easy to redo over 100 times, so I'm not worried about the paint at all. But instead of bogging myself down with so much on this front end, I think that I have had a coming to Jesus basic conversation with myself, and I realized that I need this front end done. I need this hood done, and that way the front half of the car is done. Before I cut more and weld more, I need primer in my life. Like, I need some body filler and primer in my life. We're gonna stay with the 7-inch headlights. I'm gonna put the visors on them like I originally wanted. It's gonna keep it tasteful with the original feel of the car, I think. And we're gonna move forward with welding in this other piece, and then we're gonna move forward with the top part of the wheel arches, I think. I don't 100% know what we're gonna do yet on the bottom. Down here, I don't know if this is gonna have to come up or down. I don't know if this is going to get extended. I don't really know that yet until we put the car back on the ground of where I want to be at. Probably going to lift that up. So if this gets chopped and goes up, then this piece goes up, meaning there's going to be some work in this area right here. So that's fine. We're not going to mess with none of that. I'm going to just go ahead and I think get these wheel arches done. I have just checked them to make sure that they are basically symmetrical cuts, and very surprisingly, they are. As you can see, the radiuses are pretty much the same, and the points are pretty much the same dead on. The length's a little bit different, but what that means is I can use the points as a reference point. I marked my center of the hub whenever the wheel is straight originally using a level. The wheel is pretty straight, and I basically marked centered hub. So all I gotta do is make sure from the center to my points, they're the same spread, and we're good to go. We have the turning radius on the front. I know what I'm gonna do with this little area right here. So basically I can go ahead and work this thing all the way to over to about right here, and I can completely weld it up, and we can put weld through primer back there and everything, and then we can weld all this stuff up and weld this front end up and finish this. And then we can take this front end off and take it to my body shop and do some body work on this front end and get this thing in 2K primer. Figured I'd show you this real fast since I did all the work. The Jeep headlights will fit inside of a Model A headlight. So if you take this inner piece out of the Model A headlights, and if you take the Jeep light and you cut all the tabs off the side of it, I don't even know where the tabs went. Basically cut the tabs off the side, grind the Jeep headlight flush with the plastic. So you can see right there, there's the plastic lens right to here where my fingernail's at. Let's see here. Plastic lens, and then you can see this is the casting. This is the casting of the Jeep headlight, and then this is the Model A headlight. So if you flat wheel the cast of the Jeep headlight, it will slip right inside of the Model A headlight once you take that inner bucket out. And you can basically build yourself an aftermarket set of Model A headlights. I grinded out that plug that was in the back. This little thing passed through for the Model A headlights. It'd be a good spot that you could pass through your wiring for your modern headlight. Okay, and then the ring goes right on it. Well, it needs to be tightened down, but the ring goes right on it and tightens up, and then there you go. And you can get a ton of different Jeep red headlights. I think it's like 2020 or 2021 and up, like JKs or something. They're the ones with the 8-inch headlight. If you do a Google search of Jeep 8-inch headlight, they pop up, and they look pretty freaking good, honestly. What I was originally going to do is take that. We've been messing with curved circles, or I have bead roll some curve. This is actually a pretty unique piece. I took this piece and bead rolled a circle into it because I was going to weld this in to the front end originally. I've spent a lot of time, so I was going to kind of weld that in, and you look how crazy it looks. I only put the second bead roll in because I wasn't happy with the first bead roll. And so then I was thinking about bending this back and welding it all in. And basically what I wanted was for the Model A headlight to sit inside of this. So you can see the perimeter of the Model A headlight. All right, so this outer bead roll is bigger than that. And then I was playing around with how about if this ring sat behind the bead roll of the body. And so I was going to weld that in and then use the Model A headlight exactly like it is on a stud, and basically build a bracket behind here. So you would have this hole cut in the front of the car, and it would have that bead roll around it in a circle, and then the headlight would be behind it. Okay, so it almost make the headlight it would make it flush by the time you flared out some metal around it. But the headlight would just sit here behind it, and it would bolt down to a stud. The problem with all of this, with trying to get these 9 inches in here, is you have to be able to adjust the headlights. So your headlights are built inside of a bucket. If you're not familiar, this is how they come apart. This is your 7-inch headlight. This is the bucket that bolts into the body. This is the bucket that the lens sits into. All right, this bucket moves inside of this bucket, and that's what allows you to be able to take this headlight and turn it like this, up and down to align it. I think a lot of people with customs and hot rods, they just slap stuff together and it looks good, but then it doesn't function. And this is going to be a driver, so if I just wanted it to look good, I could very well easily get this thing where I basically just graft in a lens in here, which would look amazing, and I thought about how to cut this Model A light down right here and utilize this backing. But then the problem with the backing that I ran into is it's actually bronze. So when you grind the chrome off, it's bronze. The magnet does not stick to any of this at all. Magnet will not stick to this. Magnet won't stick to this. Or maybe it's not bronze. Maybe it's something else. You can leave in a comment. But a magnet won't stick to this, and a magnet will not stick to this. Meaning I'm not going to be able to weld to none of that. I'm not going to braze it or anything. I don't know what y'all are going to suggest. I'm not going to do any of that. So what I was going to do is I was going to cut it right here. All right. And then have me basically a steel flange, all right, around here. And then cut that and then panel bond, use panel bond adhesive by 3M, panel bond that to that. And then that would allow very easily to put that glass lens in and a trim ring. But by attaching it like that and not on the stud, if we didn't use the stud and we just panel bond that piece in there, then we couldn't adjust the headlight up and down and side to side. And so I can achieve the look very easily. I can see it all in my head, how to achieve the look, but I can't 100% see how to achieve the movement without completely from scratch, basically building these two buckets. So you would have to build, if this is a 9-inch headlight, you'd have to build basically a 9-inch bucket, basically a bucket that would fit this glass, okay? And that would be your inner bucket that moves with the trim ring or whatever. Then you have to build an outer bucket that's like 10 inches or so that would mount to the body of the car. And that's a lot, building these buckets by hand. And I think that it would look really trick, but at the end of the day, there's already so much going on with the car and so much modified with the car that it would just kind of blend in. And that's the goal, building custom hot rods. But I might literally spend 2 weekends and tons of hours on just upping to the 9-inch headlights when at the end of the day, it's not a huge noticeable difference. All right, so I've been trying to TIG weld. We got the TIG welder out versus the MIG. So I said, you know what, this morning, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna TIG weld this front end together and try to force myself to learn. So I got some done. All right. However, it is 100% wasting my time. Bad. I've lost a lot of time. I've only dipped it 3 times, I'll be honest, and I had to sharpen it 3, I think 3, maybe 4. Anyway, so that's not slowing me down. The dipping it not like that's not slowing me down. It's just the, and it's not wanting to blow through everywhere. but up here it doesn't like to do great. Now all these down here did pretty good. These are pretty tight fit ups. So we're gonna put it up. Okay, I don't have time to waste on TIG welding when I can make this up and grind this out and send this thing to body filler. Put TIG welder up. We're gonna put MIG on. We're gonna rock and roll and knock this thing out because I'm sick of wasting time on that TIG. All right, laying out this other side. Harper's got my tape all jacked up. That side over there, I got it all grinded out pretty much. It needs some more dollying and hammering and some more grinding. But
Hey.
Yeah,
we can go out. Where do you want to go?
I don't care. Hopper. Hopper, what are you doing? Hopper, what are you doing? Come here. What have you been up to? You gonna help me tape?
What?
I said, do you know how to tape? Oh, we're out. That one's all out.
Yeah, I never saw you out of tape.
All right, so to attempt to find, make these arches the same, because we kept playing around with that one until we had the clearance of the wheel. There's no reason to put the wheel on and try to find clearance the same way of that, because like this fender's loose. And they also could be off in height, you know, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, something like that. So we just want to duplicate the fender. So I have found center on here. Let's just start over. All right, so center is going to be right there. All right, and then that looks totally wrong. Let's see here, what do we do? Okay, so yeah, that should be right. All right, and I was having a hard time with the front lining up a second ago. I wish that I would have done these together. Also, our center could be off just a touch. But I'm kind of wishing I would have, like I said, bounced back and forth and made the same cuts equally at the same exact time. That's got to be about the easiest way to do it, if you can do it, is as you cut one side, do the same thing to the other side. We also don't know how it is like that. Let's see here. Now this line represents our seam line. So these could be cut in different lengths than they are. The other one was cut, I think 3.5, which is to right here. So I'm about 1/4 of an inch longer on this side. I just freehanded them. But when we're done, the spread between them should be 3 inches. So both should grow 3 inches. And the seam on this arch I know falls right there because I marked it on the other side. Now it's just how do we get that seam, because wow, this thing is totally different. I almost wonder, like, are these freaking wheel arches even the same? So they are the same. I've also measured off the headlight around and off the turn signal around. Okay, so my front pieces, I just checked. They're cut the exact same. It's just totally not lining up. I mean, to get that seam right there, we're totally different. But that's probably not going to be right. So if we go straight through the center, because if we accidentally hit this thing wrong, so this side is basically 20 3/4 to that hole up there, to the center line. The center line goes off of spindle. 20 3/4 on both sides for the spread down. So the height is right. So now we just got to figure out what is going on. So that's presentable, man. That back side's good right there. It's this front side that is funky. Maybe we need to put some more curve in this. Let's go stretch it.
Are you about to look who I blamed with me?
Mm-hmm. You brought your Barbie out here?
Yep. I love this. It's live.
All right, so I think that is as close as we're going to get it. And this paper could be a little off. I had it magneted on the other side, laying on the floor, sticking my feet up in the air to hold the paper on there and shaping it with a Sharpie while laying on the floor, tracing it from the backside. So the Sharpie line is not probably the most accurate, but we are freaking, I mean, dude, that's like on the money pretty much. So that should be good to go. And our seams line up right here, the seam to that line. If the arches match pretty much, that means the spread like this, the distance on each side should be pretty much dead on. Also, our distance from the top of this light wrapped around to the edge is 11 3/4, fat 11 3/4. And on this side, from the top of the light wrapped around to the edge, it's also 11 3/4. So if we're lining up off the light here, and then we trace this a template over, then that's pretty much going to put our spread pretty close. I'm going to check that next, I guess. Well, no, because I don't have no, I'm tired. I don't have no place to mark it. See, anywhere you move up these curves, if they're not the exact same, then your measurement's not going to be the same. But that, I mean, stacking there, using a template to stack that over, you should be dead on. Look at the red on my head. That's from this mask. Brandon, if you're watching, he recommended this mask because the other one was kind of acting up, the Harbor Freight one, so he recommended this one. Fordic, I think it's F-O-R-I-C-K or F-T-R-I-C-K. I like it for the most part because you can see out the sides of it. Okay, it has the side view things, but I don't really use the side view things. I just kind of use straight out the front. I don't really know what the side view stuff is for. But my Harbor Freight mask actually has not acted up since me and him were taking that night. But this thing is just god-awful uncomfortable on the head. All four of these straps and the way it goes, I don't know if there's something I can change on this. Maybe, I don't know. But also the mechanisms, the way it clicks and flips up and flips down. Like when I go to flick it up, it wants to completely come off my head unless I literally have it like choked down. On my forehead, you can loosen the side, but then it's like so floppy that it just wants to fall down. So I got this side all welded up this morning. It is Sunday morning. And all I have left is we need to maybe cut this out the way, maybe not. We got to make this piece right here in the bead roller. So we got to make a little piece right here, and we got to make a little extension for there. Besides that, we got to dolly some stuff out. I dollied all of this out from the back side. We got a little bit low in here that we got to dolly it out. And then we got to grind this side out. I welded up my seam. This is where the two body parts bolt together. Basically, if you have one of them seams on your car that trims behind it, what I do is I kind of do a bunch of tack welds the best I can. They're going to pop and splutter, and little worms are going to come shooting out of them, and all kinds of just terrible, terrible stuff because it's so nasty. You have two pieces of metal together, and you can't clean between them. So once I get that, then that puts a little bit of fresh metal in there, and then I go back and I can kind of tack on the sides. What I've done is, if you notice carefully, it's kind of these huge. I do almost like this, huge, like curves. Okay, and then kind of just put it where it needs to be so that I'm just building up metal. I want this piece to be solid. Now, I've not welded up these holes yet because I don't know if we're going to run. The headlight has a piece of trim that keels into it. Obviously, we can't go around where it used to be because that's below the tire. But we might use these two holes. The other side I started welding up on the stop, but we might use these and take this trim piece and shorten it to where it has a point here just to give it a little bit of look a factory look is what I'm thinking. I got to re-drill them holes over there because I got jumped the gun and started welding them up before I actually put thought into the headlight section. I got to weld that one up too. That's where the old trim hole was. But besides that, it's all welded out. It just needs to be flipped and hammered and dollied. Originally, I was going to cut some of this back apart, but I think I'm going to just try to shape it with a dolly, possibly. And we just need to take the fenders off now. So we'll take the grill off. We'll take the two fenders off. And we'll dolly them and weld anything we need to, and eventually we'll get this thing to the shop here very soon. Thinking I'm going to force myself to work some this week at night and make these patches so that hopefully my goal is maybe next weekend to be able to work maybe Friday night or Saturday night at the shop and get these things through body work and primer. So like areas like this, there's no reason to grind it out. I learned on the back that if you try to finish your welds out 100%, if everything's not perfectly flat, then you're going to cut through the metal. So even this is a low. Lows are totally fine. Totally fine. The people that are out there pushing, that everything has to be metal work, I just don't agree with it. I'm very public about how I do not agree with everything needs to be metal worked. Sometimes we just want to get it rolling. My work and their work is all going to look the same in the end. This thing is going to be absolutely straight. All the body filler will be within tolerances. Believe it or not, body filler has tolerances that it can withstand and is designed to withstand. There's different products. So as long as you follow your product guideline, you're not going to have failures. People that are trying to just force it down your throat that if you put filler on a car, it's going to fail and crack is just simply not true at all if you understand what you're doing. So I know this wasn't a weekend with like tons of cool radical stuff, but I think I'm going to pause. It is Sunday morning, and we're actually going to switch up this gate out here. So my gate is just completely flimsy. You remember the Mercedes that we bought on the channel, the flood Mercedes for our daughter? We now have 3 cars in the driveway and not a lot of room. The gate just doesn't sit perfect, and it's very hard to get a trailer in here because it's not quite wide enough. So from this 6x6 to this 6x6, it's not quite wide enough. It's hard to open and everything. So I think we're going to come all the way in this corner, put a 6x6 over here, and we're going to build a gigantic gate all the way to this corner. We're going to rock all of this area back here along the side of my house and have it so that we have the remote opener on a button, so that I will be able to just pull up to the house, hit a button, open the gate automatically, and pull around to the side of my house. So I might cover that on YouTube and show y'all how to take your raggedy normal 2-gate system and build yourself a nice swing gate. Y'all smash that like button for me. I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks, y'all.